You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 320. If you run into your ex with someone new. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, Breakup Coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, beautiful brave hearts. How is everyone doing? I am so excited to be here with you today. I think the week that this airs, it will actually be the week of Christmas. I love Christmas so much. And honestly, when I was single, I had one of the best Christmases ever. Not even just Christmas, like the holiday, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I had planned so many amazing things that I could only do when I was single and had one of the best holiday seasons ever. It was actually very delicious and I had so many good memories. But I teach all of that in my How to Handle Heartbreak During the Holidays course. So it's not too late if you have been having a hard time this holiday season. I totally see you. I feel you. I hear you. And you can change that in one day by doing the holiday course. Like you could sit down one evening and choose to binge the holiday course instead of your favorite TV show. And you could have the best Christmas, the best New Year's of your life, no matter what your relationship status is. And seriously, I think that's important because you actually never know. This might be the last season that you're single. And your life might be completely full and look very different next year. That was actually my last holiday season to myself, and I am so grateful for past me of making it everything I wanted and more, because now I've got my family, I have baby Teddy, the husband, and it looks a lot different. It's so beautiful and so amazing and so full, and I don't take any of it for granted, especially coming from not having those things, right? But I am so grateful to my past self for really living up my single life when she had it. Now, if you want my help, I'm here to help you not just get over your ex, but completely reinvent your life from the ground up. I want you to live a life that is bigger and better than the one that you had with your ex, no matter your relationship status. So come join me in the Get Over Your Ex program. I am gifting you the How to Heal Heartbreaks During the Holiday course when you join us inside of the full programming. So you can join us at dorothyabjohnson.com/get over your ex. All right, my loves, I love you so much. So grateful to be in your ears today and along your journey. So today I want to talk about breakup protocols, specifically around running into your ex with their new partner. I had an amazing client who recently joined the Get Over Your Ex program. She joined on a Sunday, and we didn't get to meet face-to-face on Zoom until the following Sunday. So she had really just dove into the program content, and by the time that I met her online with everything, it was so crazy. Her desire was at a 1 and her attachment was at a 5. Or maybe it was vice versa. I think it was the desire was at a 5 and her attachment was at a 1. Like, how amazing. So much accomplished in 7 days. Was so proud of her. So when we get on her Zoom call, she wanted to get coaching on running into her ex and the partner that he's with, which is a very common worry amongst us, right? I just remember very terrified of seeing him with his new partner, running into them with a new partner, all of that. So I think that's one of the scariest thoughts when we think about our ex and then being with someone new, and then let alone running into them. So inside of Get Over Your Ex, we create something called breakup protocols for events that our brain is scared of, or we find ourselves ruminating about or worrying about. Because the beauty of a breakup protocol is we set it and we forget it, meaning we get to create it and then we know it's taken care of, and we reference it at the time of the event. So technically I guess we don't forget it, but we set it and then we have it for when that time happens. So in this situation, I asked my amazing client what her default was, meaning by default, if we didn't prepare for this event at all, how do you think you might respond in the event like this? What do you think you would be thinking about? How do you think you'd be feeling? And what do you think you'd be doing in that scenario? So she mentioned she'd feel angry and jealous because she would feel like she won, meaning the partner of her ex won. Then we got clear about what happens when she feels angry and jealous. How does she show up? What does she say? What does she do? What does she not do or say? And honestly, she was pretty mellow. I'm like a psycho by default. When I'm feeling angry and jealous, I'm a crazy person if I am not in my emotional maturity. So hers was actually very calm in my opinion, but she mentioned she would hide, she'd be speechless, she'd be wondering what she's thinking, or I'm sorry, what her ex would be thinking. Is he thinking of me? She would be comparing herself to the new partner, beating herself up, being mean to herself about the whole thing. So we got a really good understanding of, by default, how do we think, feel, and do that specific scenario. The next step is to get really clear about how do we want this to go? How do we want to show up in this situation? What is the ideal? So we started with the feeling. Oftentimes that's a lot easier to navigate to and understand, is like, how do I want to be feeling about this? If I'm not feeling angry and jealous, what would I be feeling? And so for her, I just asked her, how do you want to be feeling in this event? And she mentioned, I want to feel calm. I want to feel neutral, unbothered. Love, love, love all of this, right? That is very much the Braveheart way. So I asked her, if she was feeling calm, neutral, and unbothered, how might she show up differently? And this was interesting because she really was not sure. It makes sense. The longer we ponder what we don't want, how we don't want to be showing up, the less we really understand how we do want to be showing up. If we're not showing up in the way that we don't want to, what are we doing in that event? Like, what does it actually look like to be calm, unbothered, and neutral? Because honestly, it's a lot of inaction and a lot of not thinking in your brain, not ruminating. It's like emptiness. So for her, and emptiness sounds bad, not in a bad way, but it's like an emptiness of action and emptiness of a bunch of like crazy thoughts about your ex. So for her, she mentioned that she'd like to be classy, to be pleasant, not beating herself up internally or comparing. She'd be communicating with the people in front of her, observing what's happening in front of her, thinking about the day, not rushing others or herself, being understanding of the situation. And here's the trick that we used for her to get more of an understanding about what it might look like to feel calm and neutral. I had asked her if she was normally calm and neutral and unbothered at the Starbucks line. Like, when you're at Starbucks, are you calm, neutral, typically unbothered? And she was like, yeah, ordering my coffee and talking to the baristas, usually no emotional charge there. So I then asked her, okay, what does that look like? What are you doing? What are you focused on? What's going on in your head? And that really helped her understand how she would show up in the setting with her ex if she was truly neutral and unbothered and calm. So think about that for yourself. Like, what is a setting that I'm normally calm, neutral, and unbothered about? And why? How am I thinking? How am I feeling? And what does showing up in that setting really look like? Secondly, we had to understand what is the natural way, keyword natural way, for her to think in these settings. So again, using the Starbucks example, why do we feel calm, neutral, and unbothered at Starbucks? And she knew right away. She was like, Dorothy, I know this. I feel calm, neutral, and unbothered because there's literally zero threat to me. And she said it like a fact. That was so good. Such a good thought. So that is what she gets to start moving towards when she sees her ex with a new partner. Isn't that kind of crazy to think about? I get to believe that there's no threat to me when I see something that feels threatening to my body. There is literally no threat to her and her future by seeing her ex with his partner. And what is so fascinating to me about this idea is that there are threats in Starbucks. Believe it or not, someone could back up over you in the line at Starbucks. I have seen a very big truck run right over a Corvette, not knowing it was there. And there are unknowns that could take place and cause a threat, but we purposefully and intentionally choose not to believe that Starbucks is threatening. We're like, it's not a threatening place because it would make life difficult. So instead, we believe it's safe. The barista is there to help us, that we will get what we ordered. And for the most part, that normally happens. But it doesn't mean that there are no threats ever there. Isn't that kind of crazy to think about? So we get to believe the same thing about walking into or running into your ex and their new partner, whether it's just your ex or the new partner or seeing your partner for the first time. There is equally no threat there. There is no threat to the life that you desire to create by witnessing it and seeing that. And listen, my friends, I only say this from experience. My ex moved on very quickly. He had a new girlfriend in our home like a week after, which makes me think probably they were together beforehand, but that's a whole other separate thing, right? So I get this feeling. She felt like a threat. She swooped in and got the life that I thought I wanted, but she was not a threat. My ex was not a threat. And them together were not a threat to my bigger and better life because I got to go out and create that without them. I didn't need them to create that. And honestly, she kind of gave me a great gift of like closing off a chapter or a route that was actually never meant for me in the first place. They were not going to be the ones that kept me from creating everything I wanted and more. So after we landed on how she would think and feel and act ideally, right? We got to create her in the moment plan. Now, this is actually the most important piece of the puzzle, right? So we've understood by default, how do we think, feel, and show up? We understand what our ideal is. How do we want to think, feel, and show up? But the in the moment plan is the most important piece of the puzzle. And for some reason, it's the most forgotten part as well. But we don't want to just outline the default and our ideal scenario. We need to have a plan to implement the ideal scenario. And this is all about looking at how do I truly implement the work here, this conceptual work in the real world. So I asked her, where do you anticipate this happening? And she immediately knew. It was some sort of like sports event. And so I was like, okay, let's imagine you were there. We can't whip out a journal. That's not like an environment where we're going to be like, let's journal about this. She's not going to call me on the moment. What are we going to do? How do we stop ourselves or interrupt our default way of being in that moment? And so she told me that first, she wants to recognize the feeling. And I told her she needs to be able to label it, a one-word feeling. I am feeling angry. I am feeling jealous. I am feeling hurt. And I want you to take the time to slow yourself down enough to list them in order of least noticeable first. Meaning if the immediate feeling is angry, I want you to list that last and list the less common feeling first. Then she was like, I'm going to need to breathe, right? Like take 3 big exhales. And I told her to focus on the exhales instead of her inhales because we hold on to thoughts when we breathe them in, and we hold on to when we hold on to our breath, we also hold on to thoughts. So we need to really focus on the exhale piece of that. Lastly, she was going to remind herself of the idea that this is actually no threat to me and my bigger life, which was the thought that she was already on board with. Now, making the protocol is only 1/3 of the battle. The second third is implementing the protocol, and the last third is evaluating it and then tweaking it if necessary. So now she feels confident about what to do. She has the plan. She gets to stop worrying about it. And then when the event happens, she'll have this in her phone and she can reference it. Now, I told her, listen, sometimes these protocols go perfectly and you implement it smoothly. But I want you to plan to fail. And I know that sounds kind of negative and weird and off-brand for me, but I want you to plan on this being clunky and weird and awkward the first time. Know that that's normal and plan on evaluating it with me and tweaking the protocol as necessary, which I have a whole process on how to do that as well, but we can save that for another time or jump in to get over your ex and we'll do it together. So if this is a situation, perhaps that you've been worrying about running into your ex and the new partner, or you have a different situation that you're worried about that you find your brain circling around, I want you to create your own protocol. Number 1, get clear about how you think, feel, and show up naturally by default. Number 2, decide, how do I want to show up, feel, and think intentionally about the situation? And notice how this ideal way of thinking, feeling, and being maybe didn't resonate with you. Like the example that we gave you that my client went through, that might not resonate with you, and that's okay. It's not supposed to. This is very specific to everyone. So you have to find something that aligns with you and fits your ideal. And lastly, again, the most important piece, but you cannot forget it, is what is my in the moment plan to be able to stop myself, slow down, and actually follow the protocol. Just having this written out in your notes app of your phone will help you feel so much more at ease and confident in your breakup journey. And if you want my eyeballs on your protocol and helping you create them, implement them, and evaluate them with you, please just get inside of the Get Over Your Ex program. That is where I can help you not only get over your ex, but go beyond your breakup to build a bigger and better life that you thought required your ex. And we're going to do it without your ex. So I love you so much. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. I am sending you all of the love, and I will talk to you next time. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.